Welcome to Alpha Awakened, Video 1. We call this video The States of Being and the Hell Yes. We begin by really looking at human beings. We as human beings are unique of all the animals on the planet. We, like all of these animals, evolved over millions of years. And different than all of the other animals, we have layers of brains. We have 3 different layers of brains, and they serve different parts of our being. Our first being is the sensing being. That's where our body sensations are. This is this being. And what's beautiful about this being is it's how we exist in the world sensorially, and it has the unique aspect that we're in it now. The body sensations are always now. Our second being is the feeling being. And the limbic system, limbic brain, sometimes known as the critter brain, is what controls this part of our being. What's interesting about this being is it controls our emotional complex and has a different time domain. It's from almost now, about 2 minutes, to hours. And so that's the range and timing of that being. The third being is our thinking being. It's governed by the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain. This governs thought structures, our ability to analyze things. It has a unique aspect that has no time in it, and it has the ability to jump anywhere. It's not connected to physical reality. So why are we covering this? Because if you're not using all 3 parts of your being, you're only experiencing part of your life. Alphas live their full life because they live their full range. They live their full physical range, they live their full emotional range, and they live their full mental range. And you will do this as well, by learning how to talk to and to listen to each part of your brain system and your being. So we're going to begin with the body, and we're going to focus on the 5 senses. So learning to talk to the body, we're actually in the realm of the physical. There's real-time feedback, and there are a couple attributes that are really key. You can always trust your body. It never lies. How can it? Here it is. It's always here. It has feedback loops. Now, it doesn't mean that the feedback loops are always correct. For example, like when I was in middle school years ago, they did this little test where they put a potato in your mouth and then they put the smell of an apple right next to you so that you could smell it. So it felt like, tasted like, that there was an apple in my mouth. So it can be fooled, but it never lies. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to do an exercise. So open up your notebook, and at the top of the page, put the title on the page, The Hell Yes. And beneath that, put the body. And now I'm going to ask you a question. Are you thirsty? Observe where your attention went to answer that question. Use your awareness and listen to your awareness. Train your awareness to listen into your body. Have you found it? Are you thirsty? Okay, so now take a drink. But drink only the way the body wants you to. So pause the video and slowly tune in with your body and drink the way it wants you to. And then restart the video when you're done. Okay, great. What did you notice? Did you notice that there was more sensation than you normally attribute to drinking? Or did you notice now the temperature and the texture of the water? Did you notice all of these different aspects that you normally don't pay attention to and you aren't normally aware of? Great. Write these down. Write what new sensations you just experienced with drinking. Something that you do all the time. But now that you're being aware of your body, really pay attention to these sensations. Take a few minutes, do this back and forth, and write down the sensations that you're observing now and sensing as if almost for the first time. Pause the video and restart it when you're done. Okay, great. What did you observe? Did you notice how pleasurable that was? That you drank at a different pace than normal? It was a different speed? There was a little more sensuality there than before? The thing to really get out of this very simple demonstration is that the way of the body is always towards pleasure. Let me say that again. The body talks with sensation and always moves towards pleasure given its choice. It will always move away from pain and towards pleasure. And so it's an exploration of the sensory realm. In order to have the woman of your dreams, or the partner of your dreams, you must be able to take them to the total range, the range and throes of exaltation, or else she'll never be satisfied with you. So learning to expand your relationship to the physical world and the range of sensation and know where pleasure is at any point is part of one's learning. Alphas know this. They're connected to their body. They can follow their sensations towards pleasure at any point. And by learning how to follow your sensations towards pleasure, it trains you to pleasure her, your partner. That is something that everyone should have in their life. Okay, so let's talk about the second part of our being. This part of our being deals with emotions. So learning to talk to and listen to our emotions, we do that by feeling. Like the body, the ability that we have to feel is vast. There's a baseline. We normally feel okay. We feel, pretty normal. And there's a range that we can ride. So that's our emotional realm. And what happens is that we detect sensations from the senses, like our physical senses, and that interaction between our emotional state and our physical state happens from hormones. So we have hormones in our body like epinephrine, which is what adrenaline is. So in comes the saber-toothed tiger, and all of a sudden, and the adrenaline gets pumped into your system. And what we feel as fight and flight, or freeze even, is from that reaction. There's an emotional reaction, pumps hormones in the body, and that experience, as powerful as it is, only lasts for a few minutes. The hormones last very short time in the body. They have a very short half-life. The longest one being just a few hours. What's interesting about that is that the range of emotional timing is a few hundred. So it's a few minutes, few seconds to minutes, to a few hours. There's about 100x range in there. So it's really quite extraordinary. The thing to really get here is that your body, because of your emotions, is constantly being injected with a chemical soup of micro adjustments of hormones. And that's what you feel. That's your emotional feelings. So we're going to do an exercise. Take out your notebook again and think about what you love to do. And as you think about it, feel how you feel about it. Like, what do you love to do? Find that for a moment. Did you feel your emotions engage? Did you feel yourself become more aroused or more awake? Right there was your emotional body, because of your thoughts, dumping hormones into your system, and your body responded that quickly. Notice how coupled they are together. Hormone injection, playing your favorite sport, being creative, doing your passion, playing music, having sex. These things cause huge adjustments in your being. Feel that right now. Feel your emotional range and lean into it. Remember a time when you laughed with friends recently? That will inject an entirely different range of hormones into your system. Remember a time where there's something scary? Completely different hormones get dumped into your system. Notice that you can interact with that range of emotional response. And the more attention that you bring to it, you not only experience it more, but you can also navigate it. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down right now the feeling of the emotional wave that you've been able to move yourself through. And without being attached to what you were doing, just write about it, observe it. Take 5 minutes, write down your observations, pause the video, and restart it when you're done. Okay, great. Welcome back. So now what I want you to do is I want you to feel into those emotions again. Are they gone? Yeah, they probably are. Or they're receding really quickly. And the thing to get here is that hormones have a very fast half-life. They go really quickly in the body. The feeling, the emotional feeling, goes back to the baseline quickly. And the baseline is all is well. Everything's okay. And that's the preferred direction of the emotional range. It goes back to all is well, sometimes called heart opening. It's everything's good. What can I feel now? So I want you to really pull out two thoughts. One is that you can effectively ride that volatility of your emotions, that entire range. You can feel them, and you can observe them and observe your feeling of them. And by doing this, you're expanding your range. What that means is you're not actually being controlled by your emotions, rather you're just feeling them and experiencing them. And they recede very quickly in just a few minutes. Really interesting. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to pause the video and take about 5 minutes and really explore what we just talked about here and write down some of your thoughts. Restart the video when you're done. Really good observation, good writing. Alphas are able to feel their feelings and not be controlled by them. Feelings pass quickly. And what an alpha knows is that everything passes. And what they do is they focus their attention on the feeling, they bring their awareness to it, they experience the feeling, they're feeling it, and they're also observing it. And so they can handle and hold sensation. They can really be in it and observe it with active awareness. So why is that really useful, and what is the effect of that? Well, in order to really pleasure your partner, you must be able to hold sensation. How many men have had the experience of ejaculating too early or not being able to hold their sexual energy because it's too much and it dissipates out of their system, and effectively they can't ride the wave? So what alphas know how to do is how to expand their capacity, how to hold their sensation, how to be aware of what's occurring to them, and do this with sexual tension and arousal or any other layer of tension or arousal that may occur. So now let's go to the mind, third state of being. The mind are thoughts. We all know what our thoughts are. And even though most people know what these thoughts are and you know what your thoughts are, let's talk about and relate to your mind in a different way. So notice that you can't scratch your ideas. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Scratch it. You can't. But you can scratch your hand, which is also an idea. But this idea has objective reality. It's a physical reality. So what we're really noticing very quickly is the mind is not in the physical realm. Like the body and your emotional complex, it's always running. It's always engaged. In fact, it even uses similar fuel to the body and the emotions. It uses sugars and all of the chemical processes that your body and your emotions use. That's what the brain consumes. And the mind, just like your body and your emotional state of being, has feedback loops. And have you ever noticed that your mind will keep looping, like the movie Groundhog Day, where the thoughts go over and over and again? And maybe some of the thoughts that go over and over again are negative thoughts. Have you noticed that too? We'll observe that your mind has no understanding of space or time. Let's just do a couple little tests right now. Go to the Big Bang. Take your mind to the Big Bang, beginning of time. Look at the Big Bang from afar. You're looking at it from there. Now get in the center of it and watch everything explode. Now zoom back and come to the Earth. Go to your favorite location in the city that you live or wherever that you are. Now go far, far away to your vacation land. Go to the edge of the universe. Go to the end of time where all the stars have burned out and it's really quiet and dark and you're sitting there on the last little rock and it's all still. Take your mind there. Do you notice that you can go anywhere in space and time? So like observing the body, which we've done, and our emotions, which we also did, what we're also now doing is observing our mind. And we're bringing a higher level of awareness to observing your mind. Now, what is your mind doing most of the time? Most of the time, what our mind does is it gathers evidence about what it thinks reality looks like. Remember, it isn't physical, so it doesn't know what it is. So it's gathering evidence in order to validate its thought loops. What it also does is it forms new beliefs. You're like, that's interesting. Oh, I guess that's what that means. And we'll create something new. It will also create judgments and will validate what it thinks is real. Ah, yeah, that's the way it always is. I know that. And observe this, that this is what your mind does. So let's do an exercise now around the mind. Observe what your mind has concluded from this video thus far, okay? And write it down. Write down what your mind's now saying about all of what you've learned. Take 5 minutes, pause the video, write all this down, and then restart it when you're done. Great. So what I want you to notice now is you wrote down all of these thoughts that your mind was having. Now, let's compare that to actually what did happen. Interesting, right? So you have these interpretations, and you're layering on what you like and don't like, and this was good and that was bad, and so on and so on. So observe that your mind put that on what was actually happening. So let's follow this thought a little deeper. Let's go into the darkness, right? We're going to examine the range, so be ready for this. So go and think about something dark and confusing, like a problem in your life that you cannot solve, okay? Maybe it's that your girlfriend won't have sex with you, or your boss doesn't like you, or you can't get the promotion, or you hate the traffic, or your car broke down. Go there and feel that in your mind, all the trouble, and even make it worse, make it even deeper and darker and deeper and darker. Just go there for a moment. So let's leave that thought, and now let's go to something that you find interesting and that you're interested in. Like maybe you met a girl, or you found something really interesting, or you saw a restaurant the other day and you're like, well, that's really cool. Or you saw something in a magazine and you're like, wow, I'd really like to have that. That'd be fun. Or I want to go on a vacation this place. Now, just let that happen for a moment. And observe which one of those is the preferred direction of your mind. Does it prefer going into the darkness? Or does it prefer going to what it's interested in, what expands it, and what wakens it? So notice that just like how the body goes towards pleasure by default, and how the emotions go towards a baseline of opening, that the mind goes also towards expansion and opening, where it can put its creative energies. So the thing here to get is, those are the 3 default states of your being. Your physical being, your emotional being, and your mental being, that if left to their own devices, would go in that direction. So what we're going to do now is take this information that you've just learned about your 3 states of beings, and we're going to expand on it and see how to apply it and where it applies and what you can gain from it in your life immediately. You're also going to understand why alphas are so aligned. And this is what we're calling the hell yes. So notice that your body can have a yes, I like this, or no, I don't like this. If you want to prove that, put a nail in your hand. Does it like it? No. Does it like being taken care of? Yes. That's your body going towards pleasure. Your emotional range, that thing that you found really exciting and got you all stimulated, that's a yes. Your mind, that creative energy that you want to go towards, that's a yes. So they're yeses and nos, and your 3 systems all have a vote. They have a yes or a no. What an alpha does is an alpha listens to each one of these systems and only operates from yes, yes, yes. And so what I want you to write in your notebook are the permutations of these 3 systems. So I want you to write B, little space E, and a little space M at the top of the page. And what that stands for is your body, your emotions, and your mind. And now what we're going to do is we're going to list off all of the permutations that can happen in your 3 systems. So let's go through it together. So, BEM at the top. New line right beneath it. Body says no. N. Emotion says no. N. The mind says no. N. No, no, no. Let's go one beneath that. Body says yes. Mind and emotions both say no. So yes, no, no. Next one, we have a no, yes, no. Beneath that, we have a no, no, yes. Beneath that, we have a yes, yes, no. Beneath that, we have a yes, no, yes. Beneath that, we have a no, yes, yes. Are we seeing all of the possibilities here? We're missing one. Yes, yes, yes. That's the last one. That's the 1 in 8. There are 8 combinations that can happen, and only one yes, yes, yes. And this is congruence in your system. This is alignment in your system. This is your hell yes. This is the place where you are a yes physically, yes emotionally, and yes mentally. And this is where alphas live. This is the place of pleasure, of emotional opening, and mental expansion. Why would you choose to live from any other place? So what are you now realizing about how you're living your life? Take 5 minutes here, really sit in this, and write down your observations and your thoughts. Restart the video when you're done. Okay, great. Welcome back. This is a profound lesson. And the reason we start with this lesson in the course is because when you can integrate your physical being, your emotional being, and your mental being and understand how to operate from a yes and find that congruence in every activity, you now are living a life that is awakening. And that is the aspect that we're looking for. Alpha awakened. And this is the place for you to lean in and turn on your systems, all 3, to be yeses. So we're going to add one last very powerful layer to this. As we went through this set of exercises, notice how we were observing what was happening while also experiencing it. This is a higher state of awareness. Remember we talked about going meta, going up? The observer is up, and it is watching our experiences. So this ability to experience life while observing it is also what alphas do continuously. Can you now see how you can feel all of the sensations of the body, all of the emotions that ride through you, and all of your thoughts, and see what's happening, all without attachment? Just observing. They're happening, and you're just observing. And what this ability to observe, what the observer does for you, is it's always allowing you to make sure that you have a yes, yes, and yes. Because if you're in your emotions and your body is a no and your mind is a no, but you're not aware of it, you can't find the hell yes. The observer gives you that ability. What the observer also provides you is the ability to observe yourself and others. You can observe your partner. You can observe your partner, for example, where she is physically a no to something, emotionally a yes, and mentally a no. And you can observe it. You can observe that with anyone. So you can observe all of their states once you begin to become aware. That's the observer. In Buddhism, what they teach is that suffering comes from being attached to an expected outcome. Can you see that if you're a yes, 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 there's actually no suffering? You're not attached to anything. It's just a yes, and a yes, always moving towards pleasure. So just consider that you can alleviate a huge majority of the suffering in your life just by being congruent in your being and paying attention to the principles that we're talking about right here today. And that's what an alpha does. So how do we apply this? So think about times when you felt and experienced rage or disappointment, frustration, anger, retaliation, jealousy. Notice what you were attached to and notice what part of you was attached. This is really key. The thing to really understand here is that an awakened alpha always goes towards pleasure. If their actions aren't going towards pleasure, they're not doing it. So let's say you're in an argument with your girlfriend and you get in a retaliatory mode. An awakened alpha doesn't do that because that's not pleasurable. As long as the alpha points himself towards pleasure, he's in alignment and things will resolve so differently. So he's true to that way of being. That's what's most important. He's in alignment always. So now, What I want you to do is take 5 minutes and you're going to write about what you now see is possible given your new understanding of how to observe yourself and how to turn yourself and experience yourself towards pleasure in every capacity. Take 5 minutes, write this observation down, and restart the video when you're done. Okay, great, welcome back. Interesting how there are so many new things opening up. Now that you know actually how you can lean into the experiential realm of life differently, things will begin to open. Your list may be short right now, but in this week, your week's play is to expand your capacity to feel and interact with your body, your emotions, and your mind, and be able to find when all three are yeses. So when you're making a decision, say, does my body want to do that? Check in. And you'll sense whether it wants it or not. And then you lean into your emotions and look for the yes as well. And then mentally look in. And when it's a yes, 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 do it. And when it's not, you'll have a completely different experience. This week, track your experiences. And for things that weren't fun and you didn't like them, really check in after the fact and go like, what was the decision? And look to find out which one was a no that you didn't listen to. And spend your time making decisions from a yes, 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 and write down what that experience was like for you. An awakened alpha lives from this place. They live from checking in and understanding what is in complete alignment for them. And they are definitely aligned towards pleasure, expansion, and opening. So it's time for you to live that too, because there's no place like home. Welcome home. Have a great week. Enjoy, and we're going to see you in the next video. I want you to pause the tape. Back up. The tape. Nobody listens to the tape.